Because at some point you have to be true to yourself. You have to be sober in your thinking and be pragmatic in your politics, and not so emotional and visceral, and respond with fear. But this is the question that bothers me, though. And I don't think that you, just before I even ask a question, you haven't endorsed anyone in this campaign. Is that correct?
No, no, anyway, no.
Okay.
But I know who
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know who I'm voting for in the primary, but I haven't endorsed anyone. No.
So my question is, it's a twofold question. I'll ask the first part first. I look at brilliant scholars like yourself, Michelle Alexander. I look at some very prominent voices on the left who represent a population of black people that were never controlled by the Democratic Party. Like we've known for a long time what the Democratic DLC, neoliberal third way Democrat has been. But I've seen a hesitation or an unwillingness to go and endorse someone like Bernie Sanders, particularly from the black left and black voices that understand these nuanced problems that we're facing. Why do you think it is? Why for? And I want you to speak specifically for you, but also generally for other voices. But and I know you guys are all autonomous human beings, and you could do whatever you want to do. But why not endorse someone like Sanders, who, in my opinion, would best represent that type of change that you want, specifically for you, but then general for the inability of Sanders to connect with the black left, and voices like your own are people who just are not willing to go that extra mile and do an endorsement.
Right. I mean, we have to, it's not just simply Michelle Alexander, but, Cornel West and Adolph Reed have been stumping all over the country for Bernie Sanders, doing a lot of work in that regard. I think there's some of us who are just simply wanting to see the same sort of passion that Bernie Sanders voices around the big, Wall Street and busting up the big banks, the same kind of passion and around issues of racial inequality. We're seeing it. He's evolved. You remember how the Black Lives Matter challenged him, and the way in which he evolved on that position. I am so proud, and I know you interviewed her earlier, of State Senator Nina Turner and the work that she's doing to push the Sanders campaign to not think that class, right, that a class analysis, a singular class analysis, is all that we need to address the problems of the black working poor and the black poor. Yeah. We have to understand the value gap. We have to understand racial habits, and we have to understand those things in relation to the material conditions that overdetermine the life chances of black folk. So I think part of the skepticism or the hesitancy has been wanting to push him, right, to have a much more visceral and organically connected analysis around race, because it sounds, we don't need a lift all boats strategy from the left, just like we don't need a lift all boat strategy from third wave Democrats or from Republicans, right? We need an analysis that reflects what we talked about earlier, the interpenetration of race and class in this country. I think that's the first thing. And then secondly, myself, what I've been doing is really saying to I want to see how this political process plays itself out, and how can we open up space so for us to advocate on the part of black folk, because that space has been so how can I put it, under assault over the last 8 years. Mm-hmm. So in the midst of the crises of black communities and the choices on the part of the black political class, we haven't been able to speak, right, as forcefully and to advocate as powerfully and courageously on behalf of the most vulnerable in our communities. So I've been trying to use this election cycle as a moment to kind of open up space for what will be after it's over with.
Yeah.
Because for whatever we say, and whatever you think about President Obama and whatever you think about my analysis, he's going home. We're about to see the back of his head.
Yeah.
And what's left in the wake are the ruins of our communities. Yeah. And so we need to begin to figure out how we're going to address that. Now, mind you, I think Bernie Sanders is opening up space. But just like Occupy, there seems to be some gaps in how he understands the intersection or the interpenetration of race and class, of the relationship between those two. And remember, Occupy was making us, Bernie Sanders doesn't emerge out of nothing. Right. There's a lot of space that Occupy made possible. And we had a similar critique of Occupy, right, in the way in which the Occupy movement gave voice to its own concerns. But I do know this: what has been revealed are the amazing and troubling class contradictions within Black communities.
Yep.
What has been revealed, and I know, and I'm gonna get this out really. What has been revealed is that there is no clear distinction, and we need to say this: there's no clear distinction between the Black political class and the Democratic establishment. We keep thinking that they're two different things, right, when in fact, over the course of this primary, what has been revealed is that the Black political class is almost damn near identical with the Democratic establishment.
I'm glad I asked the question exactly how I did, because you hit every single problem that is clearly evident in this campaign. The fact that there is no distinction between the Black political class and the Democratic establishment, they are one and the same. And we saw this in 2008 when they opted on the side of Hillary Clinton originally against their dear Black brother that they protect so much now, Barack Obama. So there's really, thank you for bringing that out, because I think people miss that these Black people, these Black political leaders, they're voting in their best personal interest, even if it's to the detriment of their community. But then you also hit on something in the reason you haven't given an outright endorsement of Sanders. There's an underlying problem that still has not been resolved with white progressives, with the Bernie Sanders campaign. And even though they've done so much better, I'm grateful for this election because we see growth and difficult conversations. But you put it I'm not sure if it was in your book or in an interview I heard of yours, talking about us not having the language to speak about race and political economy. And you said that as academics that you all should be able to develop or help develop a language of race and political economy so that we can communicate effectively on it and no longer trip over our own feet when we're trying to do something that would benefit us politically, economically, but also in a racial dynamic. So I don't even know if I have a question at this point other than say, amen. Thank you so much for unpacking that and revealing the problems that yet remain.